Hello again, fellow noisemakers. Today I would like to discuss the parking lot analogy. When we mix a song, we need to consider the full audio spectrum of the track we're working on. There are different dimensions to sound, just like there are different dimensions to what we see. Firstly, we have the stereo panorama, the left, center, and right. When we're mixing, say, a band or an orchestra, where do we want to hear the different elements? We want to hear it on the left side of the spectrum, in the middle somewhere, or on the right side. Think about an orchestra on stage. Where does everybody sit? Maybe you want to create what we call an audience perspective. The strings on the left, percussion at the back in the middle, the harp on the right, whatever. There are no rules, just think about it. Then secondly, we have the highs and the lows, the top to the bottom, the treble, the mid-range and the bass. Think about where in that spectrum you want to place a sound. The third one I want to focus on is the depth of field. How far away you want the sound. So we use the tools at our disposal to place sounds across this audio spectrum. Left to right, front to back, high to low. Now, let's think about a parking lot. A parking lot has a limited number of spaces. You cannot park more than one car in one parking bay. Similar applies to the audio spectrum. When you're mixing, consider each track or element in the song. Be careful not to crowd any space within that spectrum. For example, let the bass instrument occupy the bottom end of the spectrum. Roll off the bass frequency from other elements like vocals and keyboards. Consider also the frequency spectrum of all instruments in your ensemble or group or orchestra. In fact, if you go on the internet, you can download lots of charts that show you exactly where all the instruments in an orchestra fit in terms of the frequency spectrum. Look at a picture also of an orchestra on stage and see where everybody sits to consider your stereo picture and even your depth of field. When it comes to the stereo spectrum, put the vocals and the bass drum in the middle of the mix. Not left, not right, just keep them center. Consider, for example, the layout of an orchestra. Put the strings to the left. Maybe, for example, you want to put the brass to the right. This becomes even more important if you're mixing sound to picture. Make sure the audience hears what they're seeing. It's no good having a violin player on the left of the screen and the sound of that same violin is coming out the right-hand speaker. If you want to make an element sound further away, add reverb and set the level of that instrument accordingly as well, of course. Remember the less is more approach. Don't do more than is absolutely necessary. Don't play complicated keyboard lines under the guitar solo, for example. If two sounds or elements are competing for attention, maybe you need to consider losing one of them. Just like you cannot park two cars in one parking bay. Leave space for every element and instrument in your mix. Cheers for now.